I'm going to bring you these little lovelies, and these are mitochondria. So how many of you know what mitochondria are? 1, 2, 3. How many of you have heard the word but don't really know what they are? Okay, this is for you. Okay, they look like this. They're not always purple. I mean, this is just a schematic, obviously, of them. But what you can see is if you cut one in half, so that's a whole one. If you cut one in half on the right-hand side, so mitochondria sits inside your cell. There are lots of them in each of your cell. They're surrounded by a double membrane. That becomes really important later on. And inside are all these ruffles. And whenever you have ruffles, you increase surface area, just meaning that lots of reactions can happen in a very small space. And that's basically all it is. And mitochondria are your energy source for your cell. Your cell dies if it can't have energy, and it gets its energy from something that happens inside the mitochondria. So, here's an apple. I'm going to eat it. Ta-da! I just took in energy. Bits of apple don't go to my cell. Something happens inside my body. What I'm chewing right now is converted in a special type of chemical. That chemical that it converts to from the apple inside your stomach through the digestive system is something called ATP. I call it ATP because I don't want to use long chemical words. Adenosine triphosphate is what it is. What does that mean? Tri means 3. Phosphate is a type of chemical. It has 3 phosphate groups on the bottom right and a adenosine group on the left. And that's all it means. So literally the name says what it is. I call it ATP. If we remove one of those phosphate groups, it goes to di. Di means 2. So you can see one's gone missing. That process gives out energy because chemical bonds have a lot of energy. So when you pull off the phosphate, that energy now goes to your cell. So now your cell has energy. It can do what it needs to do. Pretty much all the cells on your body have hundreds of mitochondria inside them, feeding them this energy from this food that was converted that you ate. So that's where the energy comes from. That's really important. And it's like a rechargeable battery, because then this guy goes outside, it picks up another phosphate group, comes back in, and the process repeats. So it's like having a rechargeable battery inside you. This is great. This is what makes you alive. This is an easy reaction. Apart from, as well as doing this and giving you energy, it releases something called a free radical, which sounds like an awesome name, but you may have heard of it before, and it's not great. Free radicals come from lots of places. Free radicals come from your mitochondria reaction, that ATP to ADP that gives you energy. They come from cigarette smoke, they come from pollution, they come from UV rays on your skin. And free radicals, I imagine them to be like something with a stick of dynamite on the end, basically. They come in and they're highly reactive, they have lots of energy, and they just destroy everything. One thing they're really good at is destroying the DNA inside your cells and inside your mitochondria. So if you were to extract my mitochondria right now, put them on a microscope, and look at the DNA on there, you will see that I'm missing code, my DNA is damaged, and that's going to progress more and more as I get older. Why? Because more and more of these free radicals have come in, reacted, hit it, destroyed it, and that's just going to get worse. And that's what leads to aging and all these diseases associated with them. So I want to stop this, right? I'm like, all right, let's suck up all these free radicals, because the more I'm sucking them up, the less they're reacting with my DNA. The less they're reacting with my DNA, the younger I am going to be and perceived to be biologically, because I have less damage to my DNA. How do I do that? I'm going to use this magical thing called an antioxidant. And you may have heard of antioxidants before, but may not know what they are. Antioxidants are like the magic. So once an antioxidant is next to a free radical, it creates a bond, and now they bond together and they don't destroy things like DNA. How do you know if something contains antioxidants or not? Well, let's start with this. Like when I walked into the room, which was only about 15 minutes ago, I cut this apple in half. What color is it? Brown. Do you think it was brown when I cut it? No, it was more like this color. This is the same half of the apple. What's the difference? If it doesn't have many antioxidants in it, then it reacts as it oxidizes. It basically rusts. If you have a car and it's exposed to oxidation, it rusts. We're basically rusting. My apple is basically rusting. Instead of creating iron oxide, it's creating this oxidized surface. What is the difference between this one? I put something that I know has lots of antioxidants on it. Anybody who's made a fruit salad knows this magical chemical ingredient, vitamin C, which I know is definitely more of that in a lemon than an apple because my lemon isn't brown, and my lemon caused my apple that had it on it not to brown. So vitamin C being an antioxidant, in my lemon I put onto the surface of my apple, it sucked up all the free radicals, so this now isn't oxidizing. So you're like, that's cool, I'm just going to drink lemon juice my whole life and that'll solve all my problems, right? And that would be lovely and ideal. However, when we go back to looking at the structure of the mitochondria, I talked about this double membrane layer that's on the outside. It's like this double wall. And that is really difficult to penetrate through. And so you can drink all the lemon juice that you want and get a really acidic stomach. It's not going to go directly into the mitochondria. It could go into your cells, but trying to get through that double wall membrane is incredibly difficult and requires something a little bit more specific target-wise, which is what Dr. Mike Murphy is going to talk about.